I mean, man, look, I guess, Rob, to be an NBA coach today, look, on the one hand, unless you go on some type of run, I can't even say unless you win a championship. Because Frank Vogel won a championship.
Chris is
Mike
ridiculous.
Budenholzer won a championship.
They're out of work.
Were fired,
They're out
right?
of work, right.
But unless you go on like a run, Rob, and win multiple championships, you're hired to be fired. Right? The front office is not going to fire itself. It's really not even up to them a lot of times. The ownership is not going to fire itself, obviously. The front office, they're going to point the finger at the coach. They can't get rid of all the players. Sometimes, like Bradley Beal, I'm sure they'd love to get rid of Bradley Beal. I'm sure, Rob, they would love to build a more typical roster as far as let's get a real point guard. Let's trade Beal for a real point guard and build around Booker and Durant. You can't.
Nope.
So let's fire the coach. But I guess the saving grace, Rob, is that they make so much money.
But he just signed a 5-year contract this past year.
Was it, Rob G, correct us if we wrong, was it 5 years, 31
5 years,
million?
31, Chris. That's what I saw.
So he's got 4 years
left
at, $26 million coming his way. I mean, don't shed too many tears for him, but it's just, it is what
I'll
it is.
take a being fired, Chris, if we had that.
Man, exactly. For that much money, if Monty Williams gets fired in Detroit, Rob.
Oh, God.
He got, $84 million over 7 years or
So
something
ridiculous.
like
That contract was absolutely
Oh, my
ridiculous.
goodness. So, but, it's interesting because we see kind of the tale of two stars, I guess, the tale of two legends. LeBron James, who has run through, a number of coaches. But now it's like, whether it's really LeBron or not, the perception out there is that LeBron is a coach killer, right? That LeBron is getting all these coaches fired. People don't know, but that's the perception. And for Kevin Durant, Rob, do you know that in the 6 years since Kevin Durant left Golden State, he has had 6 head coaches, or it will be his 6th head coach. They're going to hire a new guy, obviously. And so his 6th head coach in 6 years, Rob. And yet, no one is saying Kevin Durant is a coach killer. When we know that he and Kyrie Irving didn't want Kenny Atkinson, who had done a pretty good job in Brooklyn, right? No one's saying he's a coach killer, though. And so what is that? Why do you think that is, Robin? What does that say about these two players or this situation?
Chris, what did I say? I know a lot of people maybe thought I was a little too harsh when I said he's NBA dead, but he doesn't nobody seems to be bothered by what's the stat that you just gave out, which is incredible.
Most people don't even know about it.
Yeah, right? I mean, really, like, it just, as good as he is, and I'm not talking about his ability, Chris, and all that. That is not, I'm just talking about on the consciousness of the NBA fans. Yeah. Like, he's just not on that anymore. He was at the beginning of the year, we talked about it. He was averaging like almost 31 points a game at one point.
He had a great year.
He did.
Even though he came down a little, he still had a fantastic year.
But he's not in that. He's not a part of the talk show circuit anymore, Chris. Let's just be honest. You do the show every day. You don't talk about Kevin Durant that often, do you? Not like before.
Nah, you're right. You are right, Rob. You're absolutely right. The term you use is NBA dead. And like you said, it sounds harsh, but I mean, let's just keep it real. And I think for me, Rob, and look, when they got beat in the first round, was there a big hubbub?
Nope. You got tail between their legs, was all over, and they moved on. That was it.
We talked about LeBron and the Lakers for a week after they got beat. They got swept by a bunch of young boys, or at least they were a team that's led by a young guy, 22 years old. He talked trash to Kevin Durant, respectfully, because that's his idol. And it was no big deal. And I think, at least for me, Rob, and hopefully this isn't a slight on Durant, I think he's a top 25, maybe top 20 player of all time. I don't expect anything really from Durant.
No, not going forward.
I expect 25 points a night, right? But not really like a factor in winning and, not going to dominate series. And he's just not – I don't expect anything. We've seen it time and time again. And I will say this, and I know you agree. Because a lot of people will just say, man, Kevin Durant ain't won a thing since he left Golden State.
I
that's
disagree with that.
Absolutely true.
Oh,
well, it's absolutely
true.
true. Yeah, since he left Golden State.
I thought you meant they were dissing him with the Warriors stuff.
But he, in Brooklyn, he didn't get a chance. I mean, that team was so banged up. And even when Harden was playing against Milwaukee, Harden was a shell of himself with the hamstring injury. And then the next year, Kyrie and Durant were healthy, but Harden had left. And then Kyrie with the vaccination. So it was just disjointed. I mean, yeah, they didn't get it done. At the end of the day, if they have to wear it. But I think it's fair to say injuries and off the court stuff derailed them.
Yep.
Phoenix, Rob, so far, somewhat similar. He's had a little better chance in Phoenix. But still, Bradley Beal's always hurt. Durant himself has been hurt. So that's just, you have to put it in context and give the whole story. But still, Rob, you are right. NBA dead.
Dead is the way because it just, people don't seem to be bothered or moved. I mean, how in the world, and again, do we think that Kevin Durant would be consulted or have conversation? I would think so, right? That they would, because of the front office and people, they would know.
That's a good question.
I
mean, you at least want to find out if this dude was in love with Vogel. If your star player's in love,
you wouldn't have made the move,
fired.
Especially Chris with 4 years left on a contract.
Right,
like that.
Right, that's the last thing you want to do.
You're not trying to do that. I don't care how much money you have. People aren't just giving away money. Yeah. Right?
I got to be honest, Rob. If I were Matt Ishbia, and Frank Vogel, just like Darvin Ham, and honestly, Rob, just like every coach. Because there were things you could criticize about Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich. Remember he got criticized, Tim Duncan wasn't in the game.
Chris, that was the first guess. Right. Well, where was Tim Duncan?
Right. So you can and Pop hasn't won anything without Duncan. I mean, we know how bad they've been since then. And so, or Kawhi, really. Since Kawhi left, they didn't win championship after Duncan, but still, they were pretty decent with Kawhi. But I don't know if I'd have fired Vogel, Rob. And I'm not saying he was great. I'm just saying, was that the problem? I mean, look, if your players lose faith in you, there's only so much you can do.
Right.
But, Rob, if I'm going to pay somebody $26 million or whatever it is
nothing
over the next, to do nothing. And now I'm going to bring in a coach who knows if he'll do well.
There had to be something there for you to make that move, Chris. That's just not with 4 years. You just gave the guy the contract. There's no way are you really making that unless, they went in and talked to the players and they were like thumbs down. You gave him a team with no point guard. Yep.
Oklahoma City has Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Even Josh Giddey is okay handling the ball. Minnesota has Mike Conley. Who else? Denver has, now Jokic is really their point guard, but he's special, right? He's a true playmaker. Devin Booker, Durant, Beal, they can give out assists, they can handle the ball, and they can make plays. I'm not saying they're bad at it, but they're not point guards. Jokic really is like a point guard, and that's the difference. And then, in the East, you got Drew Holiday, you got Darius Garland, you got Jalen Brunson, and you got Tyrese Halliburton, Rob. Point guards.
Yep.
So, but let's blame Frank Vogel, because we gave him a team with no point guard.